Google just released a new code editor called Antigravity along with the Gemini 3 version. I want to see how easily we can create a web page with a database using these tools and then publish it online. Here is how Antigravity looks right after installation. It has all the same features found in the Visual Studio code editor, so I'll skip the deep dive on those details. But I'll mention the Agent Manager where you can handle multiple agent tasks. We can leave that for another tutorial. Back on the initial view, you can choose between planning or fast modes right below the AI prompt. There are all the major AI models to choose from as well. Time to start coding with a simple prompt. Create a landing page for my YouTube channel, Error Farm, using the Next.js framework. It asks whether the React compiler should be used. Yes, that works for me. Gemini made 7 file changes, and I'll go ahead and click Accept. Just to be sure, I'll ask the AI how we can serve the web page on localhost so we can take a look. The answer is to run npm run start. Here's what loads on localhost port 3000. It looks pretty cool and I like the result. Now that the front end is set, it's time to create a backend. Firebase works great for this since it's simple, fast to set up, and has a generous free tier that makes prototyping painless. I'll enable Gemini for help. Then I'll disable Google Analytics since we don't need it. The project is ready, and then we need to add an app, so I'll choose Web as the platform. Give the app a name. I'll also set up Firebase hosting so it's ready for publishing later. Here are the Firebase configuration variables. I'll copy them to the clipboard so we can paste them to Gemini later. There are also installation instructions, but we don't need them this time. I'll also set up a Firestore database so we have a place to store stuff. I'll leave the default values. Then I'll choose test mode because I want to make it simple this time. You can check out my YouTube channel if you need an example of setting up production mode. The database is ready. Now back to Gemini with a new prompt. Add a button for joining the mailing list. It asks for an email, and when the user clicks Submit, the email is added to the database. I mentioned that the Firebase backend is already created and Firestore is available. Then I paste the Firebase configuration variables that were copied earlier. Done. The web server needs to be started again, so type npm run start in the terminal. Here is the field saying join the harvest. I'll add my email there. It says welcome to the farm, so let's go and check the database. The email is there. That was incredibly easy. It feels like some of the vibe coding services are about to face challenging times. The next big request for the prompt is to explain how I can publish this web page online with Firebase. First, we need to install the Firebase tools. Then comes the Firebase login command. It asks a couple of questions and I'll choose the default values for those. Now we are logged in. The next step is to initialize hosting. Select Use an existing project and then choose the backend we created earlier, Farm backend. I'll choose the public directory to be public. Shocking, I know. And then choose to configure it as a single-page app. For GitHub automatic builds, I choose No. The final command is Firebase deploy. Everything is ready, and here's the URL where our app should be online. Uh-oh, something's off. We're staring at the default Firebase welcome page instead of our app. Gemini needs to fix the deployment. When I go to the hosting URL, it doesn't show my app and instead displays the default Firebase hosting page. And now it is fixed. Let's give it a new try. The app loads correctly. I type another email, slightly changing the letters of my name. and there is the email in the database. The web app is built, connected to a backend, and published. That wraps up the walkthrough. See you in the next video.